The drive from Boston had been uneventful, but as soon as I turned the rental car off the highway and onto the back roads of Plymouth, an unnatural stillness seemed to settle over the landscape. The coastline was a smear of grey, low clouds pressing against the horizon like a lid over a pot about to boil over, and my girlfriend Charlotte sat in the passenger seat, scrolling through the Airbnb description. She tried to lighten the mood with a smile. "This place sounds charming," she said, exaggerating the word. "Listen, historic feel, rustic, quiet, surrounded by history." I forced a chuckle, though my hands gripped the steering wheel tighter. Yeah, surrounded by history. That could mean anything. Hopefully the good kind of history, not the creepy, haunted, don't open the cellar door kind. Charlotte nudged me playfully. "You're such a worrier." But her smile faltered when we pulled into the gravel driveway. The house stood crouched at the edge of a dense forest, its weathered shingles like brittle scales clinging to tired bones. A sagging porch leaned forward as though about to confess a terrible secret. My eyes landed on a stone marker near the driveway, half swallowed by moss. The inscription was barely legible. "Indian Burial Ground." My throat tightened. Oh, that's comforting. Charlotte rolled her eyes, though unease flickered in her expression. "It's probably just a marker, like those touristy plaques. Don't let your imagination run wild." Inside, the house smelled of dust and pine sap. Every floorboard creaked beneath our weight, as though the house resented being disturbed. On a mantel, I discovered a small, leather-bound journal. Its cover was cracked with age, its spine nearly broken. Curious, I opened it. The ink had faded, but the words struck like a blade. "We took what we were promised, and more. The ground drank their blood, and the earth will remember." Charlotte leaned over my shoulder, her voice dropping. "Evan, what is that?" I swallowed. "It's history. My history. My history. My family kept journals. I thought they were gone, but..." My voice trailed off, heavy with unspoken guilt. That night, as wind scraped branches against the windows, I lay awake. The whispers began softly, like leaves brushing stone. They grew louder, curling through the room, in a language I had never studied, but somehow understood. Blood remembers. Blood returns. Morning arrived without sunlight. The sky was a pale sheet of ash, and the trees behind the house loomed like a wall of black sentinels. I insisted we explore. Charlotte followed reluctantly, her boots crunching on the carpet of dead leaves. The deeper we went, the quieter the forest became. No birds, no wind, only the sound of our own breathing. I froze. Between the trees, shapes moved tall, wavering shadows, their bodies half flesh, half smoke. Their eyes glowed faintly, like embers about to burn out. "Do you see them?" I whispered. Charlotte frowned. "See what?" But my heart was hammering, I knew. The whispers pressed harder against my skull. "Your bloodline carries our debt," a voice thundered inside my head. I stumbled, clutching my temples. I don't understand." The voice replied, colder now. "You will." When I looked up again, Charlotte seemed farther away, her figure distorted, the forest warping between us as though it were stretching, pulling us apart. The shadows stepped closer, silent but heavy with accusation. I felt their rage, their grief, their centuries of waiting. This wasn't a dream. This was history clawing its way into the present, demanding payment. That evening, the Airbnb was no longer just an old house. It breathed. Doors slammed without wind. Windows rattled like drums. A faint, acrid smoke seeped through the rooms, though no fire burned. Charlotte clung to rational explanations. "It's old wood. It's drafts. It's your imagination," she said firmly, but her own voice wavered. I was trembling. I could feel the chief inside me now, an iron presence coiling through my veins. Memories not my own invaded, torches flaring in the night, musket fire tearing into bodies, women screaming as flames devoured their homes. I opened my mouth, and foreign words spilled out, fluid and guttural chants of mourning, chants of fury. Charlotte clamped her hands over her ears. "Evan, stop, you're scaring me." The chief's voice roared through me, overlapping my own. We returned what was taken. Shadows surged in the corners of the room, forming faces, men, women, children, all twisted in grief. Their eyes locked on me, demanding recognition. Charlotte backed away, horror etched across her face. At midnight, the storm came. Wind shrieked through the house, shaking its frame like a beast in a cage. My body moved with jerky precision, like a marionette strung on invisible wires. Charlotte grabbed my arm. "Evan, fight it. You're stronger than this." But the chief's whispers slithered from my lips. "Pay the debt." Before she could react, I turned on her with a violence that wasn't my own. Windows exploded inward, shards of glass spinning through the air. The forest seemed to roar, branches slamming against the walls as if trying to claw inside. Charlotte screamed, but her cry was swallowed by the storm. When silence fell, her body lay motionless on the floor. I stared at her, horror breaking through the possession for a fleeting second. But the emptiness inside me was colder than grief. The whispers rose again. Justice, balance, blood returns. I ascended the narrow attic stairs, each step heavier than the last. The wind howled through broken panes, carrying centuries of voices. I reached the window. The night stretched endless, the burial ground below pulsing in the moonlight like an open wound. The chief's voice filled me completely. "We returned what was stolen." I climbed onto the ledge. My hair whipped across my face, my body shaking with the pull of two worlds, my own fragile will and the unstoppable tide of ancestral vengeance. I looked back one last time at the Airbnb, once a home, now a tomb. Then I let go. The fall was a blur of screaming air and phantom cries. When I struck the earth, silence swallowed everything. My body stilled, but the chief rose. His spirit stepped out, tall and unbound, his form both man and storm. He gazed over the land forest, rock, Sitsuratory, stolen, desecrated, remembered. The tribe gathered around him, their forms flickering in the moonlight, their voices a chorus of grief and release. For a moment, peace descended, but the chief knew it would not last. The land still bled. Each year, the wound would reopen. Thanksgiving morning dawned quietly in Plymouth. Families gathered at Plymouth Rock, children laughing, parents snapping photos, guides reciting sanitized history. But as the sun set, the air thickened, shadows lengthened, stretching unnaturally across the town. The chief and his people walked again, their whispers riding the cold wind. They were not merely ghosts. They were reminders, warnings, accusations, carved into the land itself. My story was gone from living memory, but the land remembered. And each Thanksgiving, the earth rises to speak again. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this video. Go check me out on X at Don't Drink That One. To get my full content, go check out my podcast at Don't Drink That. Anywhere you get your podcasts, stay safe, question everything, and remember, don't drink that.